FashionGHANA.com.
Okay, hey, who do we have here?
Hi.
Glad to have you on here. So let's get straight into it. Tell us about Nanaba the poet, what you do, and anything you'd like us to know that describes you.
So my name is Nanaba, as you obviously just stated. I'm currently living in the state, Washington D.C. area. I work as a program analyst. But prior to that, I was in the military for 6 years. And right now, kind of what I'm doing is trying the writing thing. I've had a passion for writing since I was very young. Writing into poetry, but in the last couple of years, I decided, just branch out. So I have a fiction book coming out titled Stolen Heritage, and it's gonna be out in a couple of months, and so I'm excited for that.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm actually curious about your experience in the military.
Oh God.
Yeah, but for now, let's start with the book. Tell us about it.
So Stolen Heritage is about a young Ghanaian girl that, because of a prophecy in the Ashanti region, she had to leave her home and came to the States to try to kind of find a new identity for herself. The prophecy was that because the men in her country couldn't protect her during the slavery, a woman would rise up and protect the nation. And, in the African culture, women aren't really viewed as, at least when I was there, to be placed in that type of leadership position. And so there was a big riot going on. And so, to kind of protect her, her dad sent her away. Fast forward, her father's sick and now she has to come back home. This is a country that she was born in, but it's not where she grew up. And so she's kind of conflicted with both cultures and trying to, find, a center that kind of, keep her grounded. And so she's back home and, as time goes on, the prophecy that drove her away from home is now, coming to surface. And so her presence back home in Ghana has everyone shaking, and things just start getting a little bit messy, but she thrives through it. So I'm excited for it. I don't want to tell you too much, but
Right. So this is a fictional book, right?
yes,
But is there any relationship between the book and your actual life?
Oh, absolutely. As you know, I am from Ghana. I'm from the Fanti tribe. I'm not Ashanti. But some of the things that she goes through, culturally, they're very much real. The idea of the book is fiction, but there is very much realness in the things that she goes through, even with her military life. Some of the things that she experienced are things that I personally experienced in the military. And so it's just a combination of, what should be and what should have been, and, stuff like that. And so it's very dear to me. The character, how she behaves and how she maneuvers throughout the book is very much matched to my personality and my character as a Ghanaian woman. And so I'm very, very excited for it.
Okay, but when you said it's not normal for women to rise to power and protect the men, isn't that something that has actually been a part of African culture? I mean, okay, so I don't really know everything, but at least I know we've had a lot of women in the past who have commanded armies like Ya Santua and there's also the Dahomey Amazons from Benin, but apparently they're the tribe that inspired the female army in the Black Panther movie. There's been quite a few, and a lot of women have taken over armies in Africa. I mean, I don't want to go on about the Wakanda situation because these days I'm beginning to feel there are more people who love Wakanda more than Africa. So yeah,
Honestly.
I don't want to dig into it too much. But yes, there's the female army of Wakanda was actually inspired by a real life all female African military. I don't have all the details, but we have had that in Africa, women running cities and armies and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. We definitely have had that. And I think as time goes on and on, we're going to start seeing more of it. The idea behind the book is really, I guess you would say, from a tribal sense, because if you look at Ghana as a whole, you can say, yeah, we have moved a little bit further away from, those type of circumstances where women, have to go above and beyond to hold leadership positions. But there is still a major lack of change in, the very small tribal. And so if you look at Ghana as a whole, you have like specific tribes within Ghana. And so I'm from the Chidan tribe as a Fanti. And so there's still things that, even though Ghana is very open, as the specific individual tribes, we're still taking our very time to kind of embrace that.
Okay. That's very true. That's very true. I think it was reported again. I didn't come with my facts, but it was reported recently that Ghana has the highest number of female entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yeah, was it percentage wise or just number in general? But yeah,
I think it was number in general.
wow. Yeah. So we're doing well with our women, right? We're doing well with our women.
We are. We absolutely are. And I love that, because it just shows that it is changing no matter how slow it's taken. I'm very much, comfortable with the pace that we're going, as long as we continue to move forward. And so by writing this book, I'm hoping that, I kind of stretch, add to that number just a little bit more, just push it a little bit further, because you're never going to know. Yeah, you're never going to know how far you've come if you don't address where we were. And that's where, some parts of the book comes in. Like, hey, there was a moment ago where women couldn't do this, but here I am now as a Ghanaian woman, being able to write about it, and being able to bring that dynamic into our society.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So give us a little insight about the business of book writing. So you finished writing this book. What are the steps from here to where it becomes one of those number one bestsellers that most of the pundits on TV always say they are? What are the steps? How do we get this book that is going to put this woman on blast, despite that it's a fictional character? But how do we get this book that's going to open our reality, our culture, and our interests from where you are right now to the complete book to a number one bestseller? I mean, do they count sales in Ghana, or it's only in the US?
Honestly, I don't know much details when it comes to writing and publishing a book in Ghana, which I probably should. Seeing as I obviously plan to, market my book internationally. But I think the steps from here to, that place that you're describing is honestly by, getting in contact with people like yourself that have a platform, that are open into showcasing people with my talent and what we have to say. Because I think that it's not enough to just market it. It's not enough to just be considered an American author. I am an African author first and foremost. It's in my blood. And so anything I write is automatically licensed to Africa, whether or not it's about Africa or not. And so it's honestly just being able to, being on platforms like this, but also being able to present myself in a way where Africans can see me, as themselves. Hey, I'm you, you're me. These are the kind of stories that we need in the classrooms. These are the kind of stories that we need in our community and in our libraries to educate our youth that this is where we were, but this is where we can be. And so I want to say, yes, this is definitely a number one bestseller. But there's obviously some finesse to it. There's a game to the system, and I'm open to learning it, and meeting people along the way that are open to helping me, being able to bridge that gap, because it is an African story, and Africa is universal no matter what part of the world you're in. And so my goal is to be able to reach as many people as I possibly can.
Perfect. Okay, so what I want to tap into now is the situation of African culture. As we
Right.
can see, we're in a can I call it a revolutionary moment where Africa is getting a lot of shine. We've
Yes.
seen two major stepping stones with this, with the Black Panther movie, Beyonce doing the Lion King soundtrack.
Mhm.
Then we've seen the rise of Afro beats. We've seen the rise of African print fashion. How has this magic entered into the world of books yet, or when it comes to books, African books are still on the shelves as they were prior to this period?
I want to say a little bit of both. In the sense that there are some African writers that, when you read their work, you can feel the magic. Um, African literature, in my opinion, is very far away from that big magic that you're thinking of, and so I think that it's up to people like myself, writers like myself, that have those concepts of Africa that's beyond the normal imagination, to kind of capture Africa in a way that it's very present in literature, because like you mentioned already, we're seeing Africa in movies, we're seeing African music videos in music, and so I hope that this book can kind of be that stepping stone where we kind of see that in our literature, in our educational systems, where it's not really just about entertainment, but we're also bridging that educational gap. And so I can only hope, I can only hope, but I do think that we have come a long way in literature, in capturing Africa, but we still have a very long journey ahead. And I definitely challenge every fictional African writer, to start, putting pieces that definitely shines Africa in the light that it deserves. Honestly.
Right. Because I think also, again, I don't have the full details, but Lupita has a book out. She has a book,
Yes,
Little
there's a
Girls.
children's book out.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the book, but it goes to show that she's using her influence to raise this issue up. And I've also noticed that when the Black Panther movie came out, a lot of people started paying more attention to African superheroes and comics.
Yes.
And Black Panther is from Marvel, so no matter
Hmm.
how much we love it, we don't own it. It's
It's not
still
ours.
still Stan Lee's. But there's a little of that, what should I say, that admiration that's now trickling into some of these Nigerian and Ghanaian comic writers who are making their own characters. Okay, now I don't want to divert from the
Yeah.
topic, but I'm going to. Okay, I've always had this thing where um, there's a lot of violence everywhere.
Okay.
There's a lot of violence everywhere. You can't
There's a lot of violence where.
in the movie industry and the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
Switch on a cartoon, there's violence.
Yes.
When we were growing up, there was violence as well, but you also had Mario Bros. You had all these games where if you weren't excited about the violence, you could. But these days, I see my younger brother. Every game is a machine gun game or a shoot 'em up game.
Yes.
It's everywhere from the movies, and I feel like if we have creatives in the comic world who are coming with their own superhero characters, they should try and be original enough to find ways to make them admirable without having to be a violent kick-ass character. Do you feel the same, or do you feel that the only way these comic guys are going to make it is if they emulate what has been going on in Marvel?
I think it's, from a marketing point of view, it makes sense why they would try to mimic that, because that's I guess what's selling. Um,
Yeah.
and so it makes sense. But when it comes to originality, there is violence in the African culture, but it's kind of different. It's more of a survival violence. Do you get what I mean? Like it's not
Right.
I'm just gonna shoot you, type of thing. It's more of like, this, my life depend on this. It's more of like, this is a survival type of thing. And so, yeah, yeah. And so I kind of feel that way too. I feel like, if you're going to be an African anything, we must be able to see Africa in your work. If you're going to be an African artist, whether you're a painter, music, whatever the case, we must be able to see African in your art, because otherwise, what's the point? Everyone else is doing the same thing that quote unquote sells. And so it honestly doesn't make sense. And I think that's why it was very important to me from my first book. I've worked on other books in the past. They're not published, but like, I have other manuscripts that are very, they steer away kind of from the African culture. But it was very important to me that the first book that I put out as an African author, that when people read it, they can see the culture, they can see, the fruits, they can see the land, they can feel the clothes and the food and the music all at once. And so, it's a hard thing to speak on, because you can't get inside the head of another writer or another artist. But for me personally, I think that, that's definitely a path that I want to stick to. I'm not saying every book that I'm gonna write is gonna be about Africa, but when people see me and they hear my name, I want them to be automatically able to associate me with my culture. I think that's very important, and I think that it's very crucial. And even talking about superheroes, I haven't really seen any female superheroes. Granted, I haven't read all of the African comic books out there, but I'm definitely looking forward to introducing Asha, which is the heroine in my book. I'm definitely looking forward to introducing her, and just kind of using her as a symbol of admiration and a role model for young African women, and young African girls to see themselves in her. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, honestly.
Because just a few days ago, I saw, and I'm looking at my phone right now trying to find it. I saw a female superhero, and I screenshot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I screenshot it, and I said I was going to promote it on our platform. It was by a Nigerian artist, and as I'm talking to you, I'm looking for it on my phone, but I can't find it. I think I saved it on the Facebook. But yeah, I think we're at that stage where support for each other and support for Black and African culture is it's no longer like an interest. I feel at this stage it's a must. I feel like
Yes,
we need to
absolutely.
be able to chastise people who try to run away from this, because the impact of not supporting our own is so detrimental.
Very
It's a long chain of events that make it detrimental. So we don't see the immediate, for example, if I don't support Nanaba's book, it's like, okay, well, so what? She's only going to miss out on, I don't know, $12 to $20 of, or how much her book costs, right? But
right.
me supporting your book and supporting, some other culture's book, maybe an Iranian or a French author or something, that's money going into their pockets. That's money going into their time.
Right.
That's money going into their family, into their houses, into their neighborhoods, and it multiplies and it develops them. Whilst we are having to deal with poverty in Africa and with African Americans, with Africans in India, so at some stage we have to start like treating support almost like it's a dictatorship. Like, hey, you,
Yes.
how many Africans have you supported today?
Have you supported?
And we're locking you up. That's not enough. I think we need to really bring that out of ourselves. But yeah, on that note,
Absolutely.
congratulations on the book. What's the name of the book again?
Stolen Heritage, Blood and Stones.
And that's out now.
No,
When is that
it's
out?
not out. I haven't officially put out the date, but I guess I will give you an exclusive date. The book will officially be out November 16th, which is my 26th birthday.
Perfect.
So I'm excited for it. Yeah.
FashionGHANA.com.
TV.
I came to slave,
100%
African.
fashion.